Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Daily Brief Recap. Another day in the market, another double booked. So I felt pretty good about that. I think I've got about $2,500 to clip from the market, and I'll be completely back in cash just with a whole bunch of free stock, about 40 grand worth of free stock. So that's not so bad. I mean, for 1 year's worth of work and only putting 25% of my money to work, yeah, I can live with that. Unfortunately, and this is sort of the message I've been giving my community here today, hey, Bitcoin's 30, 40 grand, right? My hunch is stock market gets lifted, commodity prices get lifted, Bitcoin price gets lifted, right? And you go to the grocery store, loaf of bread's for 10, 20, 30, $40 a loaf. So it's probably going to take a year or two to, get through this sort of new reality for us. One thing I'm very concerned about is the propensity of people to think that there's free money out there in the world, which there isn't. And is that setting a trap? Um, yeah. As well, too, I noticed it recently. I am like almost like hyper emotional sensitive right now, and I lose control of myself and my feelings very, very quickly. So I've actually given myself kind of a timeout from the market. The last thing in the world I want to do is risk my hard-earned money on trading if I'm in a questionable emotional state. So as I've said, I'm primarily in kind of like farming mode. As names move higher, I'll take profits based on the plan, sell halves on doubles, blah blah blah. But I'm not really that interested in actually buying too much until my hunch is probably things are going to be up testing the top ends of ranges, then violently lower very quickly back against 38.2s, then back up testing top ends of ranges, and it's going to be choppy as hell here over the next probably 100 days. Um, so, your backdrop sort of chart image, US dollar having a bit of an update here following its little fractal fail there, first thing out of the gate this morning. Actually, it's interesting on Tuesdays. We have a sort of, I guess, like a stock pickers club. Um, they're trading a hell of a lot of warrants these days, though. But um, the following day, Wednesday, today, we have Kevin, who is my right hand man here for the producing the daily briefs, and he's also an instructor, TA in the level 1 program, but basically instructor status. And he came on the daily brief video call today and just sort of walked through a bunch of ideas they were kicking around in the meeting last night. And interestingly, one sort of conclusion that I think Kevin's coming up to is this US dollar hasn't, quote unquote, bottomed yet. I mean, ideally, what we want to see are W's and start to see some, momentum resolution to the upside to actually call this a bottom. So, it's still sort of swimmy. Anything could happen here. There are no real W's at work just yet. This is probably more just sort of like an opinion kind of piece where I fundamentally believe we are at a long-term pivot here. But so what? It's just my opinion. It doesn't really mean anything at the end of the day. Trade your setups, follow your plan. I have been building long dated, like January 2022 call option position here. Not really in any hurry, but I do like the idea that once we, keep in mind, Mr. Trump is still technically president of the United States of America. So we still have to sort of get through this transition window. And now, from what I understand, and if anything, it would have been better just to rip the band aid off, get it done, get it over with. Now, what I understand is this drama with Mr. Trump might go on for months and months down the road here. And actually, ironically enough, all the attention's still on Mr. Trump. Actually, is probably going to undermine Mr. Biden's attempts to try and get his agenda going. So you can't write better fiction than reality. It's a shit show any way you slice it. But more sort of longer term demographic, structural, money flow. I am under the belief that we are coming into a support and we're going to turn higher here. But let's see what happens. Only time will tell. Not really a trade or anything to report there. Stock market was looking a little waffly up top here, and Kevin was showing us things like Facebook just looks horrible here. Interesting. We're getting first 2 weeks studies starting to come in, and it's showing that this surge here in crude oil caught a lot of people's attention, and first week out of the gate for the new year, a lot of money poured into oil there. But the problem with that is that if that's the case, and energies and materials are getting, and lumber went crazy there, are getting bid up, that's actually top of the market cycle. And, if this thing starts ratcheting up and the bonds start getting concerned, the central bankers might start saying, well, it looks like we're beyond the worst of this COVID crisis. We can start reining things in. And that's when you get sort of top of the market to you, and we have to go through a Fed cycle. I don't think that's the case. Like I said, first 2 weeks, we're getting big messages out of commodities and materials that they are strong. And that probably persists through the quarter. Once we get on the other side of the first quarter, the vaccines are all that's like old news. Almost everybody's got their vaccine now, right? Whatever. I could see us, start to turn that corner. Probably if you start seeing people going back to work and jobs numbers and all that kind of stuff firm up. And then the Fed's going to go, okay, well, crisis averted. Let's get back to, normalcy of whatever the hell that looks like. We had been conjecturing recently that, holy Jesus, the bond market is coming off here big time. We did do a structural failure here. So at the absolute best, this is going to take some time to clean itself up, paint new W's, and see if we can start working our way higher. At worst, this bond market could really come off here with the socialists taking control out of the United States and just saying, hey, turn those printing presses on. So obviously interest rates would crank up dramatically if they did that. And I think this is a commentary about MMT. MMT, it works if interest rates are zero. If interest rates or the cost of money start going up, MMT just disappears. But that's just my feeling. As for the metals, interesting to see how the gold did hold in against this little trend line support line I happened to draw on here. Head and shoulders kind of thinking evaporated. So now we're sort of back into, is this going to carve out some big honking W? Only time will tell. It is interesting to see how, remember we talked about this US dollar heading to new lows, but this gold heading to new lows as well. Something's not right about that. But interesting how we have this high here now corresponding with that high. So maybe, for all the gold bugs, keep your fingers crossed. Maybe we're going to carve out something that looks like that. Nice head and shoulders, take us another leg higher. Anything could happen. Interesting thing here is gold has so underperformed assets like Bitcoin and stuff like that, that even $1,850, maybe they ramp it up to $2,500, whatever. It's not really that big of a move in this world. I hate to say it, but I think gold is like a 20th century story. People are just not that interested in it anymore. Got these crazy digital golds that they can buy, and you don't have to worry about where the hell you're going to put the damn stuff. It lives on the internet, and it has no physical form. Talk about Klaus's scenario, eh? You will own nothing. I mean, technically, Bitcoin doesn't even really exist. It's just a notation on a database somewhere. And you will be happy. Well, Bitcoin's $1 million. All the Bitcoiners are happy. They own nothing, technically. You can't put your fingers on it. But, oh, boy, are they happy. Maybe that's our Klaus scenario. Who knows? Anyway, point of the matter here is, this to me, this story looks old. I'd have to start really seeing some W's and some good looking momentum and volume, actual buyers stepping up for me to get super jazzed. So there's a big hurry up and do nothing on the gold market. Of course, on interestingly enough, right on this market event window here, gold not even going to new high. A lot of those little junior mining stocks all just took off like rockets. So maybe that's a portend for the future, right? The gold industry. I suppose if your cost of production is 1,000 and you have basically about a 50% profit margin in there, I mean, being in the gold business isn't losing money. But is it sort of that big generational proxy, get out of the US dollar, give up on the financial system? Is it that tool anymore? I don't think so. Anyway, if anything, the part of the metals market that I like is actually all the sort of base metals and all the little dinky things, like my crazy fluorite. I don't want to be invested in gold. I want to own fluorite, whatever the hell that is. Gee whiz, some of these little stocks. Look at this. This is one stock that the little TRI SOF club picked the other day. I mean, or about a week or so ago. I mean, look at that. This is the kind of market. I think I told you guys, this is a stock pickers market, coin pickers market. You got a half decent fundamental story in this kind of environment. Couple it with a half decent looking chart, and whoo, nada. Actually, there was one that I banged out of. I mean, look at this. This is lithium. You tell me, does that look like it's pointing up? And the cool part about this is I could actually pretty much tell you now, thanks to the universe giving me this awesome sort of mathematical relationship tool. I wouldn't even be surprised if we can tell you almost the exact date when this is going to happen. But I wouldn't be surprised if this thing's up in this area here. I mean, just FYI, everyone. This is where they rolled the stock back. We wait for the bottom. So we came in through here, selling halves on doubles the whole way up. So, there isn't a new trade for me here today. If anything, I have to ask, okay, where do I have to have my next sell half on a double order working? And a move up into these levels, that's not unrealistic whatsoever. But this is the kind of stuff that's rallying. Not necessarily the gold itself, but these funny base metal stocks. This is, I think this was my fluorite. I mean, why did this thing go and make a new high yesterday? Right? This is the kind of place where the fortunes are being made right now. Not necessarily in gold. I was mentioning this. This guy's in the tar sands business. I mean, look at that bottom. It's just textbook. So that's the part of the market that I kind of like right now when it comes to venture cap, VSE mining stocks. Now what the hell was it? I did get off a double here today, thanks to our community again. I mean, geez, we've got such a great stock picking community. This is what Julian's ideas. We came in, bought the W here. It's not rockets, no rocket science, but hey, I'm pleased to see those kind of numbers. But what was the? Oh, look at something's perking up here. Hello, see. I mean, it's just one after another after another. These little junior stocks. This is, in fact, Kevin was showing us the Canadian Venture Exchange today. It's got a very interesting bottom trying to form here. This we could be in a really interesting market state. Oh, look at this little guy perking up here. Hello. M3 Metals. No idea what they do, but I mean, you've seen these charts enough from guys like me that hopefully you're seeing the same image over and over and over. Let's see. I do have on, you can see the big guys. It's just not a lot exciting. I got this silver stock on. This isn't the kind of thing where I would write home, oh my God, you're going to make a fortune off of this. It might work. It might crap out. It's kind of just, not really anything to get too excited about. But at the same time, too, it's just sitting right where we bought it. So just let the trade do its thing. But nothing for me to get excited about there. It's just like, there it is. Some of these names that some of the people on the site were posting recently, like I actually look at the chart and I get excited. Like that's crazy. That's not supposed to happen. Like that tough build, right? I'm sure I showed you this stuff before. But man, if you can just concentrate, just find ideas that look like this tough build, you do pretty darn well in this world. No, I can't even find it. Anyway, I'm totally off topic here. Um, so there are little ones that look very, very interesting here. But the big ones, yeah. And even, like even the big stocks. Am I going to go pile of money into Facebook here? What letter of the alphabet does that look like? Does that look W-ish? That doesn't look very W-ish. I hate to say it, but what I see is, there's an M up there. It's not that was very drawn very well. And I got to wind this up. I shouldn't be talking so much. I have a bad habit of just rambling. Oh, looks like everything's catching a bid here. That's good. The feds come out and say, hey, it's all up from here. Oh, look at that. Nice turn in crypto. Hey, nice rallies. Here we go again, folks. Get ready. All right, where's our chart I'm supposed to be talking to you guys about? Here we are. So our stock's getting ready for another leg higher, maybe. I mean, I couldn't buy that, but little ones, if they want to rock and roll, awesome. Interesting, actually, to see the bonds catching a bit of a bid with the stocks. Gold, meh. Like I showed you with that gold and silver, nothing really to get excited about there. They kind of caught off guard there on the crude. That surprised me a bit. And basically, there's a lot of demand for commodities right now. And my hunch here is that probably goes right through this first quarter. And actually, I warned somebody on the site today. I sent an OG I hadn't seen or talked to in years. Was on the call today, and I warned him. I said, while the Fed has got free money here, yeah, I mean, it doesn't really surprise me to see all these risk assets just keep getting bid up, your Bitcoin and stuff. As soon as the Fed sort of says, okay, enough is enough, people, we got to get serious here. And they start reining in the free money. And that's probably the time when we have to think about this stuff stopping. And it's not today. COVID stuff, if I understand correctly, with the vaccines, they're sort of getting going, but not really too aggressive right now. My hunch is once they have like national vaccine programs and everybody's on board, that's probably when the Fed goes, okay, things are calming down, probably like into the spring kind of idea. So this whole sort of next couple months is my hunch is kind of like what I showed you with that gold chart going years and years and years ago. We're probably banging around the top end of the range on all of these assets. There's the little small cap part of the market just keep kicking ass. I mean, as long as this keeps making higher highs and higher lows, it means that money is pouring into the small caps relative to the big caps. Remember, I showed you a few of those little names just going nuts, whereas Facebooks are just, they actually look like they're a sell. So, make hay while the sun's shining. Man, TRIers are banging out a hell of a lot of wins right now. So, way to go, everybody. As for the corn in particular, as I had drawn this coming into this dump, it's not a bad idea to learn about things like trade location tools. It doesn't really surprise me that the market actually found a footing at this reload zone just off of this range, off of this move up top. And of course, the kids, they got seriously punished through this. I don't know whether this bull is over yet. This is only like an hourly chart. I mean, hell, if you go to the weekly chart, we're still sort of carving out big honking weekly green dildos, aren't we? I don't even know. There's your daily chart on Ethereum, right? That's just straight down. Right? And we know, kind of like bottoms. I mean, just look at this. Would have been a good idea at this point to say that, oh boy, time to sell right here. Well, not really, because look at what it did. It actually went and W'd out. And woo, look at that W, that W, that W. And the market, just demand overwhelmed supply, and the market just heads right back up. But that was off like a V top. So, hey, look at what we got here, a V top. So I put this chart out earlier today and I just said, well, if I was a technical analyst, I would just simply say things like, well, there's the reload zone. There's the last area where actually there was a half decent supply and demand fight. There is the last candle where the bulls stepped in and stopped the bear slide and turned it back up, stepped in, stopped the bear slide, stepped in, stopped the bear slide. So this is actually where key support is. There's Mountain Man, Mountain. He's just going to be sitting there with his bid at 61.8. It's just what he does. There's Mr. Hoagland sitting at the top of value because he only buys value. So there he is. There's a big hole in the profile right here, what we call a muak. I mean, I've told you guys in the past, these profiles want to be filled in. So there's lots of unfinished business down in here. Does that mean it's going to happen today or tomorrow? No. But what it does tell me is that I can't think about investing in this asset right here. Somebody did make a comment when I put this tweet out, because I just put the image out like this and said, well, Brian, aren't we going through a 38.2 test right now? And 38.2 has not been resolved? And you're absolutely right. So if this is nothing more than just a 38.2 test for stop and it's the only stop, well, okay, then now what I want to see is I want to see some structure. 3 higher lows, that kind of stuff. Give me a W to buy, and okay. At this point, I can start thinking, hey, away we go. Right now, I just got to be in cool your jets mode. And then also, too, of course, we got a pretty big fundamental event coming up here pretty shortly. What's going to be the propensity to buy Ethereum following that CME event? Are they bidding Ethereum prices up just like they did last cycle with Bitcoin into that CME event? Those are the kind of questions I have right now. Ironically enough, and I would probably want to draw this off of the ultimate low, but if we do get a pullback down into things like 566 Mountain Man levels, and David mentioned this in the little emails that we sent out to people, advertising our new school term, and beautiful write-ups that David does. I didn't realize I was half as smart as I am until I actually go and read David's write-ups of what I said. But, the point being that if we could get this dip, and if it is straight line down, even better. You see straight line down, that's good, right? And then consolidate and away we go. But if we could get this dip down into Mountain Man here, man, I think this is going to be a buying opportunity of a lifetime. David said it in the emails. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Obviously, that's a huge if. And I got a funny feeling this kind of scenario would happen sort of like March, April, right? 420, when everybody's getting ready to go out and smoke their pot on the streets, right? That's when this kind of event, I think, happens. Going through the actual listing of the futures contracts, no offense, everybody, but this has got trouble written all over it. It had trouble written all over it on the way up, and poor kids, they got really punished. It still has trouble written all over it, right? We only want to step in and risk our hard-earned money when we see the W's. Do you see any W's right now? This is extremely dangerous. So that's sort of the state of crypto right now. Sucks. I'm sorry. Bitcoin looks very similar to this, so we don't have to do that on that. And as I said, with Bitcoin, it's sort of like there's your trading range. I mean, do you really want to get involved in a market 42,000 on the upside, 30,000 on the downside that has a $12,000 trading range? I can only bang my head against the wall so many times. But the bottom line here is, just as Ethereum is very dangerous right now, I think Bitcoin is very dangerous. So be careful with your hard-earned money. At 35,000, you are not buying value. Yeah, the stock to flow people will tell you that institutions are coming in hard on the buy side. That's not a value metric. That doesn't mean anything. That's what they call quantitative analysis. So, yeah, just be careful. We could very easily be on either end of these extremes. Easily. And I won't really be convinced that we have a new bull until I actually start seeing W's on the other side of this blue line. So right now, there's your playground, and it's pretty damn big. I suppose to finish off, along those Ethereum kind of lines, there are some altcoin names that look really interesting. I wouldn't be surprised into that ETH CME listing. You remember when ETH was rocking about its 2.0, DeFi was kicking ass. Astronaut Dave turned Farmer Dave. I think he has to put his astronaut suit back on. I noticed some of these DeFi names are starting to rock and roll here. There's that Aave. There is the DeFi index pressing up against its old highs. There's that Wi-Fi. Remember we talked about that W there a little while ago. I did pick up some of this stake. I actually missed my sell half on a double order there the other day. Tisk tisk grind. Still, I got it in there working now. I haven't logged into Polo in forever. So anyway, that's the only place I could buy because I don't have the DeFi stuff set up yet. Stuart, let us know when you're ready to go. You can see Chainlink. Look at that. Finally getting W's coming in here. Looks like an inverted head and shoulders. Eh? So if there was a place to be shopping, it looks to me like I would be hunting setups in the DeFi space. Look at the W's coming in on this Kasama. And they even did typical crypto fuck you move too. Mind you, that was versus Bitcoin, so probably don't see that versus USD. Anyway, so the point of the matter here is this stuff. If I was going to come in on the buy side in the crypto space, we're at reload zones, bottom end of ranges, W's, momentum divergences, blah, 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 blah. This is the area that I would be risking my hard-earned money. So take it for whatever it's worth. Be careful on all of this stuff, right? If you are going to be buying crypto, make damn sure you're looking at it versus a currency unit. This happens to be the Tether instrument. Could be euro, yen, Canadian dollar. I don't really care. But if you're going to measure this stuff versus ETH versus Bitcoin, if Bitcoin or ETH go fucking apeshit, then your chart's going to go all screwy. So just, go slowly. Make sure there's value in the name that you're interested in. Find some sort of fundamental driver and get out there and have some fun in the market. Like Sjord's LTO. This is a good example. He's got, I don't get the damn chart up here. He's got his fundamental reasons for being bullish. Technically speaking, I'm perfectly fine being long off of here and off of here. And it's just doing its thing. This has no interest in Bitcoin whatsoever. We are invested in LTO. And we will see what happens. Only time will tell. Okay, I think that's your summary. Interesting. Look how they're trying to put a bottom in this dash now. That thing goes in W's. Oh my God, how cliche. All right, talk too much. Got to wind this up a little faster, a little crisper. Good to see we're basically under 2 hours now for the whole shebang for Kevin. So have yourselves a great rest of your day. All the best, Kevin. If you could take us out of here, I'd appreciate it. The only thing left for me to say to you good people is bye for now.